Okay, here's the beginning of the story, focusing on the immediate action and conflict without the usual setup or lengthy descriptions. It dives straight into the core issue and builds tension. I was sipping my usual morning coffee, feet up on the porch when my phone pinged. A notification popped up. New device attempted to connect. Karen iPhone. I froze. Not because of the name, but because I live alone. My Wi-Fi is password protected, and the only Karen I know is my next door neighbor, the same Karen who once filed an HOA complaint because my bird feeder was too decorative. Before I could even process the notification, I heard her voice screeching over the fence like nails on a chalkboard. Hey, your signal's pretty strong. Mind sharing the password? I blinked, stunned that she had the audacity to ask that out loud in broad daylight. I chuckled awkwardly, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. That was my first mistake. She leaned against the fence like she owned the place, clutching her iced coffee like it was a gavel of justice. I mean, it's not like it costs you anything, she said with a fake laugh. Sharing is caring, right? I smiled politely, trying to keep it civil. Sorry, I work from home. I need my connection to be secure and fast. Her face twisted into a condescending smirk. Oh, come on, don't be so uptight. It's just Wi-Fi. We're neighbors. Community should come before convenience. That sentence stuck in my head like gum on a shoe. Community before convenience. Translation. I should compromise my privacy and security because Karen wanted to watch TikToks in her backyard. I gave her the benefit of the doubt and decided this would be the end of it. It wasn't. Later that night, my Wi-Fi got a little spotty. Nothing too crazy. Just minor buffering here and there, but something didn't sit right. So I checked the logs on my router. Dozens of failed login attempts, all from a device labeled Karen iPhone. She wasn't even trying to hide it. I changed the password again, this time making it a ridiculous 20-character string with symbols, numbers, and letters that even I struggled to remember. I also enabled device notifications. If she tried again, I'd know. The next morning, I found a note taped to my front door. In aggressive cursive handwriting, it read, "It's just Wi-Fi. Don't be so greedy. HOA exists so we can all share resources, not hoard them." It wasn't signed, but I knew exactly who it was from, and I knew this wasn't just about Wi-Fi anymore. Karen had made this personal. I tossed the note and didn't reply. I figured ignoring her would make her lose interest. Wrong again. 2 days. Later, at the monthly HOA meeting, Karen brought up unusual behavior without naming names. Some people in this community, she began loudly, not looking at me, think their Wi-Fi is more important than our children's education. How are kids supposed to do their homework if they can't even connect online in their own yards? I looked around the room, baffled as a few members nodded in sympathy. I had no kids, neither did she. And yet somehow I was being painted as the neighborhood villain. The HOA president, a weary man who had clearly aged 10 years under Karen's reign, muttered something about not being able to regulate private internet. But the seed was planted. I was now the Wi-Fi miser, the selfish signal hoarder. Karen's passive-aggressive campaign had begun. I walked back home that night thinking of how to shut this down without stooping to her level. Then it hit me. I didn't have to confront her directly. I could speak in her language. A message that she would see every time she looked for Wi-Fi. I logged into my router, changed the network name, and hit save. Not for Karen. 911. Now glowed, proudly on every nearby device within range. I made sure the network was visible, even if password protected. The very next morning, it worked like a charm. I heard a shriek from her patio. "Are you kidding me? Is this some kind of joke?" Her voice carried over the whole block. I didn't respond. I just kept watering my plants with a smile. Moments later, she marched to my porch and rang the bell like she was summoning a demon. I opened the door calmly. "Yes?" She pointed at her phone. "This is harassment. I know you named your Wi-Fi that to target me." I raised an eyebrow. "Why would I do that?" I said innocently. Unless you've been trying to connect to it, in which case that name would apply, wouldn't it? Her jaw dropped. She stomped off without another word. But of course it didn't end there. That afternoon I received a strange letter in my mailbox. A notice of violation from the HOA accusing me of inappropriate public network naming and disrupting neighborhood harmony. I'd never heard of such nonsense. The letter looked off. No HOA logo, no real formatting, and it wasn't delivered officially. Just a loose paper stuffed in my box. I checked with the HOA board via email. They confirmed they hadn't sent any such warning. Karen had faked it. Now this wasn't just annoying, it was getting creepy. Forging HOA documents. That was grounds for serious action. But I wasn't about to go nuclear just yet. I wanted to play this out a little longer. After all, she thought she was the only one playing a game. I was just getting started. And the best part, I had receipts. Screenshots of the device attempts, photos of the fake notice, footage from my doorbell camera. Karen had no idea I was 5 steps ahead, but I knew she wasn't done yet. The question now was just how far would she go to steal a password? And when she pushed too far, what kind of response would she least expect? That's where things would really get interesting. Karen had no idea I was 5 steps ahead, but I knew she wasn't done yet. The question now was just how far would she go to steal a password? And when she pushed too far, what kind of response would she least expect? That's where things would really get interesting. The following day felt like the calm before a storm, but I had no idea how ridiculous things were about to get. I had hoped the Wi-Fi name, not for Karen 911, would be the final jab, the kind of petty revenge that makes the other person quietly back down. But Karen wasn't built that way. She didn't retreat when embarrassed. She retaliated when offended. And now I had apparently offended her on a level she couldn't tolerate. I kept to myself for a day or two, watched as her porch remained eerily quiet, and figured maybe she had gotten the message. That was until I noticed my lawn looked a bit different. At first I thought it was just the usual change in light. But when I stepped outside, I realized what had changed. My tulips, which I had planted weeks earlier and were just beginning to bloom, were soaked, absolutely drenched. The ground was muddy, puddles were forming, and the flowers were beginning to wilt from overwatering. Then I heard the sprinkler system running next door. I walked toward the property line and peeked over. Sure enough, Karen's sprinkler was aimed awkwardly at an angle, shooting more water into my yard than her own. It wasn't a coincidence. The nozzle had been shifted deliberately. She wanted me to know she could mess with more than just words. I adjusted my side of the fence slightly higher that evening. The next morning, I found that one of the wooden slats had been pushed out of place from her side. I fixed it, nailed it down tighter, and stayed silent. I wasn't going to bite yet. Then came the second HOA meeting of the month. Karen must have added it to the calendar herself. She stood in front of everyone like she was addressing the United Nations. Some residents, she began loudly, without looking at me, have decided that being selfish with their resources is acceptable, and now they're engaging in cyberbullying through network names that target innocent neighbors. A few people murmured, clearly confused. I watched the HOA president rub his temples as if he had heard enough Karen stories for a lifetime. The Wi-Fi signal name is visible to children, she continued. Children should not have to see harassment in their network lists. This is the kind of toxicity that erodes community trust. The president cleared his throat and said slowly, Karen, as we've told you before, private Wi-Fi network names are not under HOA jurisdiction. She cut him off, waving a paper in the air. I've collected signatures. People agree it's inappropriate. I looked around the room. Most of the neighbors had that polite, glazed-over look people get when they're just trying to survive a meeting, without screaming. A few gave me sympathetic glances. No one actually cared about the name. They just didn't want to be involved. After the meeting, Karen made a show of walking past my driveway and glaring at my house like I was running a black market operation inside. I smiled and gave her a small wave. Her face twisted like I had just insulted her grandmother. I knew I needed to stay ahead of her because she wasn't going to stop at public complaints and garden sabotage. I decided to upgrade my router again, this time with full device tracking, network fencing, and logs that recorded every attempted login, connection strength, and duration. I even set up email alerts if someone tried to brute force the password. By the time I finished, my home internet system could have been used in a government bunker. Then I renamed the guest network to something new. I didn't expect her to see it right away, but within an hour she was on her porch, pacing angrily while glancing at her phone. The guest network name now read, "Try it, Karen. LOL." I didn't actually give it access to the internet. It was a dead network, a decoy, but it was broadcasting loud and clear. The following morning, I saw her youngest niece, or maybe a family friend, outside holding a tablet and muttering something. She looked about 15 and was clearly